Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Rainmakers Roundup. I'm your host, Mark Iorio, and today I have with me Jim DeLorenzo from Jim DeLorenzo Public Relations. There's a little backstory here. Jim and I met on the phone yesterday through a mutual friend, Bill Borton, and we found out that his aunt and uncle and my aunt and uncle are the same aunt and uncle. So I guess we're related.
Yeah, I like to call you cousin.
Welcome, cousin.
Thank you, Mark.
Nice
Nice
to
be here.
Nice to see you. So you're in the public relations business.
Yes, sir.
Tell us a little bit about it. Obviously, we understand what PR is, but what's Jim DeLorenzo Public Relations do, Jim?
I develop storylines and message points to get my clients in media, whether it be radio, television, print, online. Print is kind of going away, but online. Earned media coverage.
Right.
Advertising is paid media coverage, paid media opportunities. What I work on is earned media coverage. I want to get the interest of a producer. I want to get the interest of a editor. I want to get the interest of a writer or a host so that I can get my clients on the air. They've earned that coverage by what they're doing, what they've created, what they are planning and implementing.
Yeah. Explain to the audience what that means. How do you go about doing that? There's no real secret sauce or anything.
No,
but
it's legwork.
Yeah.
It's really legwork. It's researching the subject matter thoroughly, getting a good feeling for my clients and what they do. I kind of embed myself with my client so that I can learn what they're doing and learn what's going on. A lot of times my clients come to me with a specific challenge or a specific problem that they have. And what ends up happening is I learn more about their business and I learn more about them.
Sure.
And I can see other things that would help them get greater attention.
Greater attention.
So I can learn what they're doing, and then I can go out and I can find, okay, I have a client that has opened an addiction recovery center. And who do I go to in the Philadelphia region who's writing about addiction and recovery?
Yep.
So the Philadelphia Inquirer has 2 dedicated reporters and an editor that are covering the opioid crisis in the city of Philadelphia and the surrounding area.
Sure.
So I will actively reach out to them and tell them I have something that might be of interest to them. I'll do a little campaign, phone calls, meetings.
Yep.
Sometimes I actually resort to the old-fashioned way of sending a handwritten note.
That's great. Yeah.
And you want to get their attention, you want to get their interest, and then you want to present your story to them. And they say, oh, that's an interesting story. I'd like to write something about that. And that develops into a piece for the Philadelphia Business Journal or the Philadelphia Inquirer. And then you take that piece and you say, okay, let's get in front of Channel 6. Let's get in front of Channel 3. So it's all about developing the relationships and getting the stories to the right people.
Right. You've had a really cool background, really interesting background. You went to Villanova University, Notre Dame High School in Lawrenceville, right?
Yes, sir.
And then, so how do you get, was it a meandering path to get to PR, or how did that?
It was an indirect path. It wasn't really meandering, but it was not something I had originally thought I was going to do.
Yeah.
When I was in high school at Notre Dame in Lawrenceville, my high school football coach, I was the manager of the baseball team, the football team, the basketball team, and all the coaches and all the administrators kind of took me under their wing. They really saw that I was interested in what they were doing. I would show up early. I would stay late.
Yeah.
Even when I was a freshman in high school, I was there, practically 15 hours a day.
Right.
I'd come in for class at 7:30 in the morning for homeroom, and I'd be there at like 10 o'clock at night at the end of a game or something.
Yeah.
And the coaches all saw what I was doing, and the teachers all saw what I was doing, and the principal saw what I was doing. And they all started saying to me, you're really good at this. You
have a knack for this.
You have a knack for this.
Yeah.
And in my junior year in high school, I started writing little write-ups about the games that I had been at. And Trenton still has 2 daily newspapers, and they're 2 independent newspapers. At that time, they were very independent of each other, and they were right across the street from each other.
Yeah.
So I would write up a story about the game that I had just attended, and my father would drive me over to the Trentonian. I would run in and hand in my story, and then I would run across the street to the Trenton Times, and sometimes they used my stories. And Chappie Moore was the football coach at Notre Dame,
Sure.
a Villanova alumnus. He had coached at Villanova for 1 year before coming to Notre Dame. And he kept telling me about Villanova. You got to go to Villanova. You got to go to Villanova. You're going to be just like Jim Murray. And I'm like, who the hell's Jim? Who's Jim Murray? So I was being told all these things that Jim Murray did this and Jim Murray did that. Now Jim Murray's the general manager of the Philadelphia Eagles. I'm like, oh, okay.
Oh, that
sounds
Jim Murray,
interesting.
yeah.
And again, I'm clueless. I'm a 16, 17-year-old kid. I'm relatively clueless about what's going on outside of my high school.
Right.
But I'm writing these stories. I'm getting these opportunities to do these things. And I was recruited by Villanova to be their football manager.
Wow.
And I got a partial scholarship to go to Villanova as a football manager. I had never seen the campus before. I had no idea where it was. First got there, I hated it. I was there for football training camp. And the coach at the time, Dick Beddison, said to me, practice is closed today. Don't let anybody in. So after he says that to me, there's a man coming across the field with a camera and a notepad, and I tell him practice is closed today, and he says to me, I'm the sports information director. I work for Villanova. I'm allowed to be here. I'm like, oh, what does sports information do? And he says, why don't you come to my office later and I'll explain what we do. So I followed him up on that. And sports information, for those of you who may not know, is the public relations arm of the athletic department at most colleges and universities.
Right.
So I went to work there as a volunteer, and when I graduated, they offered me a full-time job in that office.
Wow.
So that was my path to public relations, was through sports.
Wow, great. We're going to take a quick break, okay?
Absolutely.
When we come back, we're going to talk to Jim more about, first of all, his dad had a camera shop in Trenton called Jimmie's Camera Shop, and I'll bet he got some influence from his dad and a lot of inspiration as well. But I want to talk to Jim about the difference between public relations and social media and how that's kind of played into what he's doing, what he's been doing over the last couple of years. Be right back after this message.
Did you see the sign?
When I needed to jumpstart sales.
Build attendance for an event.
Help people find their way. Fast Signs designed new directional signage.
And got them back on track. Get started at fastsigns.com.
Hey everyone, this is Donna Valente, Sales Performance and Leadership Coach and founder of the Enterprise Sales Institute. Join me every Wednesday at 11 o'clock here with RVN-TV on That Sales Show. On this show, we are going to share with you best practices in emotional intelligence, sales process, and sales strategy with some of the industry's biggest thought leaders. So, don't forget, 11 o'clock Wednesday here with RVN-TV and That Sales Show.
Got a quarter?
When did you see the sign?
When I needed to jumpstart sales.
Build attendance for an event.
Help people find their way. Fast Signs designed new directional signage.
And got them back on track. Get started at fastsigns.com.
Hi, I'm Chris Haynes.
And I'm Mitchell Brooks. We're inviting you to join us Wednesday morning at 10 o'clock on RVN-TV for our show, Welcome Home. It centers around everything having to do with owning a home, from figuring out when and where to buy, how to maintain it, how to protect it, when and how to sell, and everything revolving around having a home.
Please join us every Wednesday at 10 a.m. on RVN-TV.
Hi, I'm Christine Patton, the Juice Girl. The Champion Juicer has been my juicer of choice for years. Whether I'm making a glass of juice or a large batch of juice for my juice bar. These juicers are simple to use and so easy to clean. Champion juicers are masticating, cold-pressed juicers. Two models are available, the Classic 2000 and the new Elite 4000. Besides juicing, both models can make frozen fruit, smoothies, nut butters, sauces, and even baby food. The Elite 4000 Champion Juicer also excels at juicing greens and wheatgrass. These juicers deserve to be called the world's finest. For more information, please visit my website at juicegirlpharmacy.com or championjuicer.com.
When did you see the sun?
When I needed to jumpstart sales.
Build attendance for an event.
Help people find their way. Fast Signs designed new directional signage.
And got them back on track. Get started at fastsigns.com.
Welcome back to Rainmakers Roundup. I am your host, Mark Iorio. I'm with Jim DeLorenzo. Jim is the president of Jim DeLorenzo PR. And we're just talking about how he got into the business before the break through Villanova and the sports information director. And, you know, I had mentioned that your dad had this camera shop in Trenton, right?
Yes.
Jimmie's Camera Shop. So growing up as a little kid, you probably had there was a lot of influence from your dad having all these photographs of people, right? So,
and one of the things that was interesting growing up was, and I didn't know this until much later in life, but my father was an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
And in the 50s, when he started the business, we didn't know about entrepreneurs. And when I was a kid growing up, I didn't know about what an entrepreneur was.
Yeah.
But I watched my father work all his life. And I watched what he did, and I watched how he related to people. I watched how he interacted socially. I watched how he interacted professionally. And a lot of that has rubbed off on me. I'd say most of that has rubbed off on me.
Sure.
I didn't even realize that until probably in the last 10, 15 years, how much of my father I have become.
That's cool, yeah.
And I'm beginning to appreciate it more and more. When I first realized it, I was like, I don't want to be like that.
Yeah, right.
You know, you automatically want to rebel against your father.
Yeah.
But my father was great with people.
Yeah, he's a good man.
He was a very good man, and I miss him dearly. But one of the things that I saw him do was he was always very personal with people. He was always asking about their families, or he was always asking about what they did. And he knew a lot about his customers and the people he interacted with on a daily basis. And he didn't keep files on these people. He just had it all in his head.
He remembered it, yeah.
He remembered it. And he was very good at knowing people's birthdays. He was very good at knowing about holidays. And he went to a lot of viewings and things like that.
Right.
So he really knew the families and the people that he interacted with on a daily basis. And what that taught me was to know the people that I want to work with and to know the people that I want to deal with.
Right.
So I would actively research a reporter that I want to pitch a story to, or I would actively research a client that I'm either working with or want to work with, and really get to know them. And those are some of the things I learned from my father. The other thing that I think helped me along the way was I would go and work in the store maybe one day a week when I was a kid.
Yeah.
And my father started letting me run the cash register or things like that, and where I would make a call to tell them that their pictures were ready.
Yeah.
And I really got trained in how to be professional on the phone, professional interacting with people from a very early age. I mean, I'm 7, 8 years old, and I'm handling the cash register,
right.
or I'm making phone calls telling them the film is ready.
Right.
And when I was doing that, I was like, this is fun, you know, or this is like, I didn't look at it as like, I don't like this.
This is a job, right?
Yeah, I really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
And that's extended into my adult life and my
cool.
professional life.
That's great. That's great.
Yeah.
Hey, listen, Jim, in social media today, right? With PR and marketing and social media, it's kind of all morphed together. How do you, as a PR professional, deal with that? There's so much going on out there. I've heard a lot of people say, we don't need PR anymore because, you know, we've got social media, we've got Facebook and LinkedIn. So talk about that for a minute.
Sure. Well, social media, the way I look at social media, like Twitter or Facebook, LinkedIn or Instagram, where those are the 4 main forums that people use right now.
Yeah.
I look at them as tools of the trade. I don't look at them as a competitor. I don't look at them as a threat. I look at them as something to be used to utilize to develop my messages and get my messages out there for my clients. So the ones I'm most comfortable with are Twitter and LinkedIn. And I use LinkedIn primarily for my clients on a B2B level, business to business. And for LinkedIn, I like to develop stories and photos and video that can be posted on a client's LinkedIn page to further their message. And it can target the audience that they're looking for, whether it be other clients, potential clients, prospects. With Twitter, I'm looking to use that to broaden the reach, to drive eyeballs to either a news story, a TV story, a radio story. So I will include a link to, for instance, last week I did a feature with Channel 3. Pat Gallen of CBS 3 in Philadelphia came out and did a feature story on my client, Jim Drucker, who has a company called Newcadia.com.
Okay.
And Newcadia.com is the world's largest online retailer of old comic books.
Oh, wow. Wow.
So it's the Amazon of old comic books.
Yeah.
And he only has online sales. He has no storefront, no anything else. He has over 800,000 comics in one warehouse in Norristown, Pennsylvania.
Wow.
And he does about $250,000 in sales every year of comic books.
Yeah,
$250,000 comic books sold every year. And he's gotten very little attention locally and regionally. So I had worked with Pat Gallen at Channel 3 on a couple other stories this year, and I suggested that this was a great story. So we got together, they came out and did the piece, and I took photos of Pat interviewing Jim.
Cool.
Then I posted them on Twitter, and then the day the story aired on Channel 3, I posted the photo again, but with a link to the video, and drove traffic to the video.
Perfect.
And then drove traffic to Newcadia's website.
Website, yeah. That's great. We're going to take another quick break, okay?
Absolutely.
When we come back, we're going to talk to Jim about how he gets clients, new clients, and I want to hear a little bit about a case study that he's worked on, something that's besides this Newcadia project that he's working on, another case study that he's had some success with. We'll be right back after this message from our sponsors.
Do you see the sign?
When I needed to jumpstart sales.
Build attendance for an event.
Help people find their way. Fast Signs design new directional signage.
And got them back on track. Get started at fastsigns.com.
Hey everyone, this is Donna Valente, sales performance and leadership coach and founder of the Enterprise Sales Institute. Join me every Wednesday at 11 o'clock here with RVN-TV on That Sales Show. On this show, we are going to share with you best practices in emotional intelligence, sales process, and sales strategy with some of the industry's biggest thought leaders. So, don't forget, 11 o'clock Wednesday here with RVN-TV and That Sales Show.
Got a quarter?
Welcome back to Rainmakers Roundup. I'm your host, Mark Iorio. I'm with Jim DeLorenzo. Jim and I have been talking about PR. He is the president of Jim DeLorenzo Public Relations. And before the break, we were talking about, the whole idea of social media and how it relates to public relations. And, we go back to that conversation we were having about your dad's business, right? Where today, to get to know someone in the world of public relations, an editor or a publisher of a company or an organization, you've got to get to know them.
Right.
Back in the days where people walked into the camera shop, you saw them face to face, but in the break, what did you just say to me?
I said social media is the way of having your door open.
Yeah, exactly.
It's saying, okay, I'm open for business.
Yeah.
Come to me.
Right.
And I use Twitter in a lot of different ways. I promote my clients. I put crazy little items out there. I've become like my friends kid me because any obscure celebrity that I like who passes away, I'm the first one out there with the obituary. You know, so when Tab Hunter dies or something like that,
Yeah.
you know, it's like Jim DeLorenzo is going to have the update on his Twitter feed.
His Twitter feed.
But that opens me up. In other words, that allows people to know that I'm out there.
Yeah.
And I'm open for business.
Yeah.
So, and again, social media is a great tool. But think of the term social media, public relations.
Yes.
You're relating to your
other
public.
people, right.
You're out there, you're making contacts, you're making relationships. A lot of my colleagues or peers, especially my younger clients, colleagues and peers, tend to concentrate on, I'm going to send them a text message, I'm going to send them an email, I'm going to...
Exactly,
They
yeah.
don't use the phone, and
Right.
they don't go out and meet with people.
Right.
And that's kind of my differentiation out
Yeah.
there, is I'll go out and I'll meet the editor, the sports editor of the Camden Courier-Post.
Right.
You know, I've known people over there, been a lot of changes over there, but I know how to get in touch with them, and I know how to find them and
Sure.
create a relationship.
Yeah.
And it's the same way with anything else. When my father had the camera shop, people would come in and say, I need batteries.
Mm-hmm.
They might not want a camera. They might not need film, but they needed batteries. So my father would be open on Christmas Day because everybody forgot to buy the batteries.
Absolutely.
So for all my years growing up, my father would be working Christmas Day from 9 o'clock in the morning to 2 o'clock in the afternoon.
Wow.
And we would have our Christmas very early in the day,
Yeah.
so he could go over to the camera shop.
Camera shop and work.
But people needed batteries.
Yeah.
People needed film. They forgot to do it,
Yeah.
and they always knew my father was
the only
open on
place
Christmas
open.
Day. Exactly.
He was.
So people know that I'm open late at night when I'm on Twitter and I'm posting something about the Phillies game, or
Yeah.
I'm posting something about a celebrity that just passed away,
Right.
or a comment that I have. So people know that I'm out there, and I get a lot of interaction with people who just see me on Twitter or see me on Facebook and say, hey, let's get together.
Yeah. How do you get your new clients?
Well, a lot of my clients are referrals. Most of my clients are referrals. So
That means you're doing a good job.
I hope so.
Yeah.
I'd like to think I am.
Because if you're getting a referral from someone, I mean, Jim, they feel comfortable with you enough to say, hey, I want you to use Jim DeLorenzo because he's done a great job for me.
Yes.
So that's a great testament
And
to the work that you're doing.
I also get a lot of repeat business. A lot of my clients have moved around or done different things. I work with a lot of entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
And a lot of the different businesses that they have. So, for example, I worked with before I started my own business, I worked for a company called US Interactive. And US Interactive was one of the first internet professional services companies in the world. They started building websites and advertising for companies in 1991 when people didn't even know that there was an internet.
Wow.
And by the winter of 96, 97, they were in a growth phase, and they brought me in as the director of public relations. So I'd gone from the sports world to the tech world in kind of one fell swoop. And one of the reasons
That's a great learning experience.
hired me at US Interactive was they liked the experiences I had in sports. I used the example, I didn't know anything about field hockey, but I learned about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I didn't know anything about the internet, but I learned about it.
Yeah.
I didn't know anything about my client's business, but I learned
You
about
learn
it.
about it, exactly.
So they really liked that approach. And we got to a successful IPO, and then I started my own business in the summer of '99.
Wow.
So Rich Masterson was the founder of US Interactive, and I've worked with him probably about 6 times since then. Most recently on the Addiction Recovery Center, treatment center that he has launched and invested in Plymouth Meeting. So we talked about a case study before. Rich Masterson invests in Brain Spark Health in Plymouth Meeting, Pennsylvania. He's one of the 2 investors. And it's an addiction recovery treatment that's been prevalent on the West Coast for about 30, 40 years. But no one on the East Coast does it. So he researched the process, brought it to the East Coast, and I was able to pitch stories about Brain Spark Health based on Rich's experience as an entrepreneur, Rich's experiences in the tech community in the Philadelphia market, the doctor that he's partnered with, Dr. Franco Pico Fazzi, his experience with addiction.
Wow.
And the medical profession. And I was able to profile them in a way that helped build their business and build attention in the media for Brain Spark Health.
Yeah.
And that's a process that's ongoing even right now. So we're getting them involved with trade shows. We're getting them involved with community groups and chambers of commerce to take the story of this NAD IV treatment, which is revolutionary on the East Coast. It's been in use for many years on the West Coast, and explaining why this is a great treatment. And we're using Rich's background and Franco's background as inroads to get to them.
Wonderful. We got to wrap it up. I wanted to ask you one quick last question.
Absolutely.
We have about 10 seconds. Who inspired you?
My father.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Jim, it's been a pleasure.
Same here,
It's been a
Mark.
quick 30 minutes, hasn't
It has.
Yeah.
I enjoyed
Loved
it.
having you here.
Thank
It's great.
you.
Ladies and gentlemen, we will see you next week on Rainmakers Roundup. Have a wonderful, wonderful week, everyone.